So, hello, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, the original script was set in Camden. Why was it important for you to move it to South London, this area in particular?
I think South London, it's a really special place to me. I'm originally from Manchester, but I moved to South London when I was 12. And, I lived in Brixton with my dad, and then I moved to Peckham when I went to university. And I think that it's a place that's like just so kind of misrepresented in many ways, or it's correctly represented, but only the bad bits. And for me, it was, a really good opportunity to sort of have it as a place that's about joy.
So I think of this film as a real kind of celebration and a kind of memorial to Peckham and lots of places that have existed in the area for decades. And why was that important for you to kind of include those like long-standing institutions?
Like where? Tell me
so
where.
Well, I think about like there's the Persepolis shot, Il Gardino, which has been there for like near 40 years, I think. And then there's the shop Brixton Whole Foods as well. Could you talk about why you chose some of those locations?
I think it's interesting that you use the word memorial, and it's so sad. But the reality is a lot of these places, could disappear and are at risk. And for me, it was like, I need to capture this now, because if they do disappear, then at least there's a film, that kind of holds on to them. And I really felt that way, even when we were shooting, I was like, I remember the day that we shot Brixton Market, and I was like, yes, I've caught it, because it is disappearing. There's a bloody, whatever, champagne sausage lounge, like opening up around the corner. But, I think they're great places too. And it's about celebrating great places. Persepolis is an amazing shop, Brixton Market. I remember when I first moved to London, my grandma almost took me on this kind of like Goodfellas, like the back of the restaurant scene of Goodfellas, where he takes her through. And my grandma did that with Brixton Market. She was like, this is where you go to get your jerk spices. This is where you go to get your plantain. Like, this is where you get your Afro comb, and it was so incredible. And for me, I kind of wanted to do that in a way, for people that maybe haven't been to South London and live on the other side of the world, but also for people that know South London so well and can go, this is my place. And I really hope I did them good, in representing their home.
So I love the look of the film. It's so colourful and vibrant, like the community itself. But you also use like a anamorphic lens, like I think especially on the high street scenes. Could you talk about your choice in doing that? Because it gives like a really distinct look, I think, in those scenes.
Thank you for saying anamorphic lens. Everyone says fisheye, and I'm always like, when they say it. Yeah, I mean, I love wide lenses, right? I just love the way they look. But I don't think it's just about the way things look. A lot of those frames are really thought about, and there's a sort of logic behind them. The reason I wanted to shoot South London on wide lenses is because I wanted people to see South London in its entirety. The other thing that I feel is that, people say that a 50mm lens is closer to how the eye sees. But the way I see things is like, you and I could be having a conversation in Brixton Market, and there's a man over there that's like pushing a pram with a dog in it. And that's happening over there, and I can kind of see it, but I'm still talking to you. And so wide lenses give you that, the story's about two people walking around South London, but South London is still going, and little stories are happening here, there, all over. And so for me, it was exciting to capture that. And I really wanted to sort of show that, like I said, in its entirety and celebrate it. So yeah, that's why.
There are 3 pretty iconic cameos in the film. Could you talk us through how they came about?
Tell me what the 3 are. I'm intrigued.
So I think of Munya, Michael Dapper, and then they will have seen the film by now, so Colin.
Okay.
I think of those as like the 3 cameos.
Yeah, there was a point where we were like, okay, let's add some people in this film, let's have some recognisable people just like hanging out in South London. I have no idea why we did it. I think it was just for fun and to just see, maybe, they're important people that are culturally relevant, right? Like Michael Dapper's amazing, Munya's amazing, Munya's funny, and, I think it was just a nice idea. And the thing with Colin was slightly different to Munya and Michael Dapper. You know, like Munya and Michael Dapper are people that I think are incredibly relevant and exciting talent and quite fresh. Whereas Colin's like, you know, he's been around for a long time and he's been in a lot of rom-coms. And I knew whatever happened, people were going to compare the film to other British rom-coms. So I was kind of like, all right, let's put a cheeky nod to it, innit? And kind of in a way say, this is the complete opposite. And that's why Colin's role is the complete opposite. You know, I kind of wanted to acknowledge it in a playful way. That's almost like kind of a little cheeky wink with a middle finger. Friendly middle finger.
Yeah. You make a cameo at the end of the film, and I think that and Colin, they add like, there's like a magical realist kind of touch to the film. I think. Why did you include yourself in that? You're kind of discussing the end of the film. You kind of.
I know that's the reason I did it. I mean, I honestly really don't enjoy being in front of the camera, and I'd never really done it before. Well, I'd done it a little bit, but my gosh, like directing yourself is not fun. I did like 20 takes. It was terrible. But the reason I did it is I kind of thought about who would do it, and the people that I'd want to do it kind of didn't make any sense in the context of like what was happening. It would have been someone like Steve McQueen, you know, he would have been the dream really. But I don't think Steve McQueen would make a sci-fi film. Like maybe he would, and if he did, it would be amazing. But like, you know, and then someone said, why don't you just do it, you know? And I kind of liked the sort of ridiculous, like almost like slightly like meta-ness of it, you know? Like, and me saying it's the end of the film, like it just felt quite funny. And although it made me incredibly uncomfortable, it kind of was a bit like, yeah, like this is my film, so I'm going to be in it, you know? And I think a lot of directors that I really like do it. And I kind of thought, well, let me give it a go.
Yeah, I think it's like...
I mean, I cut myself out as much as I possibly could. I was like, cut. And then I had to like do all the, like, I had to ADR some of the lines and because my performance was so bad. And it was a nightmare, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about your lead actors. Who are wonderful. Could you tell me about the casting process of the two of them? At what point did they come on? Did you have anyone in mind? What was that like?
No, I didn't have anyone in mind. What I had in mind was that they weren't too known, you know, because I wanted it to feel fresh and to feel like, you know, my film. And so I was really excited about meeting, you know, relatively new actors. And the casting process was pretty traditional, you know. We met loads of people, loads of brilliant people that, you know, I'd love to meet again and potentially work with. But when I met Vivian and David, I just knew straight away. I know that sounds like the cheesiest, like, I just knew straight away. But I actually was like, oh my God. And same with my casting director, Carmel Cochran. We were just like, yes, you know, almost immediately. And but the scary thing was that they had to have chemistry because, you know, for me, it's like, of course, as a director, you can work a little bit on the chemistry and you can build that trust, but it kind of needs to be there initially. Like the idea of a set where like two actors really don't like each other and don't connect and then run off to their Winnebagos is not my kind of set. So, you know, we were quite nervous about putting them in the room together, but when we did, it was amazing, you know. And again, like with the cliches, it was like, boom, it was amazing, but it really was. It was incredible. And you know, they are so talented in their own right, but together they just worked so well, and it was a joy.
You mentioned like they had immediate chemistry. I was wondering if there's any rehearsal time or what the sort of shooting schedule was like as a, you know, it's an independent film, and I think people kind of don't realise the kind of schedules that you're often working to.
Yeah, I mean the schedule was crazy. I would have loved more time to rehearse, and we did have rehearsal time. I think we did a week's rehearsal or something, but that's with everyone. And the rehearsal was amazing. So we did the rehearsals in Peckham. We did a lot of our prep in Peckham, and Viv, David, and I went into this room, and we started, and it was fine. And I was like, oh, I'm bored of this room. Let's just go for a walk. And we just walked around Peckham together, and I just like shot them on my iPhone. I've still got it. I was watching it the other day, but I just shot them as we were walking around, and I kind of wanted them to just like go wherever they felt they needed to go. And in the end, it felt so great that we kind of used that walk that they did in that first rehearsal when we actually made the film. So yeah, that was really nice. And yeah, it was fun. I really, I love them both. And I know that, a lot of, you've got to choose people based on talent, and they are incredibly talented, but I do also choose people based on how fun they are to work with. And it was fun. And it was really hard. So it needs to be fun if it's hard.
What are you up to next?
I'm writing another film at the moment, which, is with the BBC, and we're still kind of developing. And then I'm also developing a TV show as well. So watch this space. It is not a rom-com, I can tell you that.
Okay.
It's not a rom-com. I'm not the rom-com guy. Like, I told you this before. I'm still in denial about this being a rom-com.
No, it's a love letter, isn't it?
It's a love letter. Yeah. It's a funny love letter. Thing I don't like is I don't like the word rom-com or the words rom-com. It makes me cringe. But actually, it is romantic and it is a comedy. I just find the word rom-com, it just doesn't make me think of like cinema.